Singularity is the theoretical emergence of superintelligence through technological means.
Right, so instead of needing to set up an entire hospital, for instance, you could set up just a clinic with a supercomputer in it, what we would consider a supercomputer now, but it might be the size of a tablet in the future, or it could be built into the walls. And so then people could go, and the building itself may actually, you're sitting in the waiting room, and meanwhile it's diagnosing your illness. And then you walk up to a window and it gives you your medicine. So, yeah, I mean, looking at family life, and if we're talking about the nuclear family, a household, the technology we have today has driven a wedge in the human experience in the home. People are usually communicating with others at long distances rather than looking and talking to the people that they're with in the same room. So in the future, as technology progresses, there will be an exacerbation of that problem, and then eventually an elimination of it, I think, because mobile devices, I think, will stop existing. They'll become so mobile that they'll become integrated into the human body. So you'll be looking, you can carry on a conversation with somebody looking me in the eyes while simultaneously receiving and sending messages in your brain to other people. So then you've got this dichotomy where you're having communication directly, but you're also having indirect communication with others. I don't know what kind of psychological impact that might have.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Some of their voice
composite.
Yeah, just a
Voice
composite library of
their letters.
Yeah, of how the artists say each letter.
Right. I mean, and based on the library of previously existing artists, a computer could come up with a composite of Elvis Presley and Aretha Franklin and make a whole new artist that doesn't even actually exist, but could potentially top the charts. There's this beautiful voice of a person that was never born. Meanwhile, like real artists, actual human beings would not have necessarily. We've already started to see this in today's society, where they don't actually have to have talent. They just have to look a certain way and communicate a certain way to their fans and strike a chord essentially with people who want to see them and associate with them. What were you going to say?
Also, like advancements as in with the technology in the music industry, artists essentially just have to get on stage, and computers could be the ones that they have their voice and compatibility. So the computers could be making their lyrics the way the music sounds. They just have to go on stage and have it memorized. So they essentially are just the face of the music, but with the singularity, the computers and the technology would be behind it. Oh, kinetic energy-wise, the biggest thing was we said doing everything like walking every day. You could store it in cells and different various, attributes that can be used in later. So essentially, your everyday life, you can take that energy that is being used and utilize it in more specified needs, as in charging your phone or different technological devices as well. So pretty much doing two things at once. And also people be getting more exercise as well. So that's a positive side we could look at for the singularity that could happen.
We've seen the growth from mobile phones to internet, smartphones, and now we think that hologram phones will become the next big thing by the year 2030. So basically, instead of having to FaceTime or talk to someone, you just have one option, which is to talk.
I think technology will go toward micro-destruction. I think much more, we've already seen it going toward much more targeted assaults to minimize collateral damage. And that makes sense from a military standpoint because you want to preserve infrastructure and you want to try not to destroy the hearts and minds of the people you're conquering. So probably targeting technology will advance rapidly, and basically ordnance will become much smaller so that the target gets killed and hopefully no one else. Eventually computers will be the ones that decide when war is necessary, and there may not be any human intervention to stop that.
I think with that also is computers will be able to find when the optimal time is, if there really is a need for war, and what the benefits of it are. They can calculate that just based more than human mind acting irrationally. So if there is war, it will only be if it's a necessity. just based on that singularity process of when the computers or technological advances are controlling the nations and governing the nations, they're going to be the ones dictating and having the diplomacy.
And we said there'd be no presidents in charge, and that there would be computers that ended up ruling over the people, and that we talked about cash might not exist in the future, and that it'll become more of a commodities and service built society. And we also talked about potentially having like a uniform world currency, if there is currency. And then we talked about how technology will overtake the world and make people lose their jobs because the technology can do it better. Okay, and moving forward, this will be our final question and closing remarks from everyone. I'm going to ask each person what their ultimate feelings are about singularity and what they think will happen. Corey.
Well, I mean, I feel like robots don't need to go out and have fun and go wakeboarding or go snow skiing or whatever, so they'll never have that need to really do that. So they will be doing the jobs that we as humans already not really punish ourselves by having to do, but we do a job so that someone else can go out and have fun, and then we go out and have fun so someone else can come in and do the job. So I feel like robots will just do the job continuously while we as humans are just all out having fun, and that won't really be any problem.
Jovan, what do you think?
I think singularity essentially is inevitable. It's just how we embrace it and how we protect ourselves for that coming. 50 years ago, people would have never thought we'd have this such communication around the world, how easily accessible it is, and I think that's just going to be growing exponentially. But while we have that fear, we have to embrace it just because it's going to be helping our society better itself. And like we've talked about today in our discussion, just the different aspects of the world, there's going to be negative and positive sides of everything that comes about, but just being able to find that fine line and be able to know if you cross it, how we can make it better and how we can protect ourselves in the long run.
Ian?
I think that we won't know until it actually happens, so we'll have to wait and see.
I think it's going to get to a point where singularity will help us, but then it's going to drastically decline and people are going to lose jobs, and it's basically technology is just going to take over. So I think it's going to have a negative impact.
I actually agree that the singularity is inevitable due to humans' desire to continually improve and seek uncharted waters. So once the singularity happens, my opinion is technology will have produced, and actually just the way that things have been going throughout history is that the rich have been getting richer and the poor have been getting poorer. Basically, the very rich will have access to the very highest technology, and they will also be the ones who are tasked with attempting to control technology after the singularity occurs. My opinion is they will be eliminated by technology because they will be seen as a threat. Essentially, they'll be deleted the same way that a virus would be. That's how a computer will see them. Meanwhile, the very poor will not have access to that technology in the same meaningful way, and they'll have to essentially start over with all the rich having been eliminated. There will be a new dominant species on Earth, and that will be technology, being computers and whatever mechanical technology that computers create. And then the subservient species, the very next level will be human beings, and I think humans will essentially start over, at an earlier point. They'll still have technology, but not necessarily supercomputers, and they'll just have to avoid crossing technology. That's my thought.
And then I think we're all right. I think eventually, if singularity does happen, I think as long as singularity stays true singularity and it doesn't become a takeover by computers, and the technology is a service and creates a symbiotic relationship with human beings, and that humans can still serve as the ethical provider and moral standard, then potentially it won't create a problem. But if computers do end up taking over, I don't think we will ever be able to create a truly moral ideal. And if we do create a morally ideal computer, that's scary, because then there will be no adaptation and there will be one ideal that we are all subjected to. And so there would no longer be any gray area. So that's the thoughts of group Team 32, the major mix-ups.